So now I'm going to show you another example of what Gate can do. So if you go to GitHub and you type in Gate in Spring, you can go to this repository and then clone it. So grab that and type here git clone and put that site, push enter. It will download all the files for you. Once you have the files on your computer, just go to Gate, right click on applications and say restore application from file. What this does, you go into your folder, deep into the folder, you can see Gate in Spring, Gate web info, Gate files. Deep in the folder, you choose the Xgap and you open that. So what this is doing is loading an application that I had exported for Teamware. If you want to save a project so you can return to it later, or you want to give it to a friend, if you export it for Teamware, then it will save all your plugins, all your data into one zip file for you, which is pretty convenient. The zip file can be kind of big because it is saving a lot of resources generally. This zip file was about 40 megabytes. So what it's loading is the standard ANI pipeline, which we saw before, and a couple of other resources. There's something here that calculates statistics, I think, quantity inferencer, and academic text. So I'll just show you quickly what it does. It's still loading. It's loading the documents. There are 3 course syllabi who are in the folder. Okay. Which are the the data that this example uses to show what it does. Okay. So it's complete. It took a minute, a little more than a minute to load it. Click run. It's going to run on all those documents. So while it's running, I can show you the jape grammar inside. Okay, so this is the jape grammar. It's released under the Apache license, which means you can use it. It's pretty permissive license. You can read about it. Let's see. Okay, so the first here, it's defining a macro called chapter sections. And what that says basically is anything that looks roughly like chapter and anything that roughly looks like section or like pages, you should tag that as a chapter or a section. And that macro is then used later on in this rule, which says give me a chapter or section followed by anything, possibly a number, and the words and or a comma, and then followed by a number, and then tag that as a section. Say that the string is single, the kind is token, that's the actual string that you pulled out here in this section, and the value is this number right there. So what that does is look for things that are stuff like chapter 4, chapters 1, 3, and 8. So it will match those expressions. And then it will tag them. So it's kind of like a rewrite rule if you think about it. It's kind of like XP goes to spec, X bar goes to X0, followed by YP, for example. So it's a lot like rules. This is the rule arrow right there. So this is the, I guess, left-hand side and the right-hand side. There are some more things here. So this rule can detect chapter 4 to 6 as a range, or 1 through 3 as a range, for example. So that just uses the word to, and it could also take a punctuation to find it. So that's kind of the example of what this thing is doing. Let me show you the results now. If we look at the message tab, we have some information that came out. So this is information that's printed from the jape grammar. Some of the jape grammar has some printout statements, and it's basically just to make sure that you don't lose any data. So it says this will be a combined number, but maybe it's not a number, so I'm not going to include it. So as you see, They look kind of correct. That looks like it might actually be a number. Yeah, okay, so that's what I found. So you can, if you're concerned about losing data, you can just compare this information to the documents to see if you lost something. All right, let's go look at the syllabus. Let's go look at this one. Go into the document editor, and we'll turn on the annotations set and the annotations list. So this is the Semantics 2 syllabus by Ashisuda. And in here we have some things that were found correctly. So citation, bibliographic entry, due date, that's important. So why don't we go and look for the first due date it finds. Okay, there we go. So it does find some dates pretty well. What else do we have? Let's go look at the citations. So you can use this list here to navigate the document and save time. Okay, so yeah, there you go. At the bottom of the syllabus, there's a large concentration of basically the reading schedule. So the Jape grammar recognized the word week 12 as a due date, and also more specifically this date as a due date. Even though it's a bit non-standard, it's just programmed to recognize that. You can turn that on or off if you want to. And then this is recognized as a citation, which you would be able to go and match with, for example, the bibliograph entry in order to find that text online if it's available as a PDF. So for example, here we have a few other texts in semantics which match the green bibliography entries which are there. So basically you would take this information and Google it and maybe get lucky and find a PDF. So that's one of the examples of what you can do with Gate. This was running on 3 different syllabus. You can get more syllabus, make sure it runs on other things. So that's kind of the idea.